Hello everyone. I hope this message finds you fit and fine. My name is Shashank Tyagi and I welcome you all to StudyIQ. In our previous session in Contest Indian Polity Lakshmikant series, we discussed about historical underpinnings in Indian Constitution. It means it was a start. So we covered these three steps. We talked about company rule, how it started, and how mismanagement in company rule led to British government engaging in its administration through Regulating Act 1773, which was passed in British Parliament, right? So there was you can say, a struggle which was happening. English East India Company did not wanted this British administration to put nose in their work. They were like, "Sari mehnat hum kare, revenues hum banaye, and when it comes to control, this British administration wants to control us." Right? And one crucial institution which was established was Supreme Court in Kolkata. As I told you the story, Warren Hastings raised the concern. He was not happy with Regulating Act 1773. So that's why this amendment came into being. Relaxations were given to English East India Company. For example, I'm giving a short recap so that the employees of English India Company, it means British subjects there, were exempted from this jurisdiction of Supreme Court. When it comes to the Supreme Court, revenue matters were exclusively transferred to Governor General of Bengal. And appellate jurisdiction of Supreme Court was also, when it comes to revenue matters, it was also transferred to this Governor General Council. So we discussed all of this in our previous session. But still, English East India Company was not cooperating with British Empire. And that is why, to tell them who is the real boss, Pitt's India Act 1784 came into being. Pitt's, then Prime Minister of Britain, and it led to categorization of function of English East India Company into two parts. It means Board of Control, which was responsible for political functions. It means this will be a separate body. It will be representing interest of British government. British government, okay? And when I say political, it means the two aspects are here. Civil and military affairs of the company will be taken care of by Board of Control. When it comes to commercial affairs were maintained by Court of Directors. So this separation happened after Pitt's India Act to tell English East India Company, oh, we have our own Board of Control. We are going to do that, right? Now, continuing in this journey, now we have to talk about Charter Act 1813. The name Charter represents the permission given to English East India Company by British Empire. Okay, you can continue your trade for 20 years on these conditions. And that is why after every 20 years, you can see English East India Company was coming to British Empire. Thereby, British Parliament was actually passing these acts to tell on what conditions affairs of English East India Company are going to be there with respect to Indian Peninsula. Right? Now, coming to Charter Act 1813. Look, company's monopoly over Indian trade was terminated. That's a fact under Charter Act 1813. But there's an interesting insight here. Those who are also interested in world history, I would like to ask you, what was happening in Europe at this point of time? I hope you must have heard about or read about continental system which was laid by Napoleon. It was a blockade by Napoleon, which was planned by Napoleon to actually, you can say, restrict the trade interests of Britain with other European nations, right? So it means the other companies working under the British Empire, they were like, we are also private company like English East India Company. And it was your political matter with Napoleon. And why we have to suffer? And if we are going to suffer, then how we are going to pay you the taxes? Then British government was like, so what should be done? So they said, why not give us access to Indian Peninsula? Why only English East India Company is given access to Indian Peninsula? We should be allowed to have trade there. So then British government was like, yeah, for its own betterment, it is better to allow other companies also to trade there. So when this English East India Company came there that we want permission to trade again because we also need protection. So they said, now your trade monopoly is terminated. But monopoly in two aspects were there. It means tea trade. In tea trade, only English East India Company, this private company, will continue in Indian Peninsula. And with China also EIC will continue. Otherwise, now other private companies of British working under British Empire started coming in India for their fulfilling their trade interest, because they were suffering huge losses due to continental policy of Napoleon. Right? Another important thing of Charter Act 1813 is education, because it was under this act that British government earmarked 1 lakh rupees annually for modernized education in India. So the purpose was that we need people to run the administration. We need to give them specific skills so that they can be of use to us. And when you read same period in modern history, you also read about the debate between vernacular and Anglicist medium of education. What should be the way? But that is in history part. But you should connect things, right? That's how you consolidate your knowledge easily and reproduce in exam easily, right? Now, apart from this, Britishers also gave this logic that there's a you can say abundance of literature in India, and we want this literature to be interpreted in English and other languages, and to be it should be exposed to the world. And for that we need people, Indian people, to cooperate with us so that they are also able to transfer their knowings about their scriptures to other languages. So this was another logic which was given. But you should remember, okay, the monopoly was abolished, exception, and education. So these are the three key part. Now comes Charter Act 1833. You can say, you should remember certain phrases with it. For example, final step of centralization. Why? The reason is, you can see, William Bentinck, because now Governor General of Bengal was given the status of Governor General of India. My friends, Britishers till the last point, means when they gave us independence, they were saying India is not a nation. They said India is just a geographical unit which got united administratively because of our laws. So which law they are referring to? They were referring to Charter Act 1833 as a start, because now the seat in Bengal is going to be representative of British interest across Indian Peninsula. That is why centralization word was used, right? Now Governor General of India, I told you, all the regulations will be now acts, and now English East India Company will solely be administrative unit. It means earlier you were having a lot of commercial interest, but now British Empire was like, British government was saying that, okay, now your commercial interests are actually impacting the administrative proneness, and that is why now English East India Company should remove commercial aspects and just focus on administrative aspects. Now the investors of English East India Company who were sitting in Britain, they were like, now what is going to happen with our profits? Then British government was that since this administrative unit is responsible for collecting revenues, ensuring policies so that your revenues are streamlined, then definitely there will be nothing, your profits will be secure, to the point. But now the mode of profit will be this. Now, along with this, English East India Company, who was representing commercial interest, Court of Directors, they were saying that no open exam for covenanted civil services. My friends, it was Charter Act 1833 in which for the first time this idea was floated that there can be an open exam for covenanted civil services, means higher post in administration. But English East India Company and Court of Directors, they were opposed to this idea. Now, why they were opposed to such idea? So that they can have their grip on the administration in India. Because if it is happening through open exam, then these bureaucrats, they won't listen to this private company, although they are part of administration, which this administration is being run by a private company. Surprising fact is that administration in India being run by a private company allowed by British government, and these private investors did not wanted these officers should be working independently. So that is why there is a Halsbury College in London where you have to take admission so that you can be part of this covenant civil service, and you could not take admission there without sponsoring letter of COD. So in that way, they were maintaining control on who is going to be there working as a bureaucrat, right? So they did not wanted to lose their control on administration in India through English East India Company. Although opposition started, you can say boiling, from 1833. Now there was an attempt, that's why the word attempt is used. It was not introduced. It was introduced later. Charter Act 1853. You should remember these differences because UPSC play on these words. Okay, these small words make a lot of difference, right? I told you why they opposed, right? Now Charter Act 1853. So you can say that this was that period when rule of English East India Company was on decline. Now Crown was all set to take the power. The legislative and executive functions of the Governor General Councils were separated. Till now, what was happening? Governor General's Council, now who was Governor General of India's Council, was taking decision with respect to making laws as well as executing laws. But now after 1853 Charter Act was said, no, there should be separation. There should be a separate legislative body. Law making should be separate and execution should be different. 6 members in the Central Legislative Council. 4 out of 6 members were appointed by provisional governments of Madras, Bombay, Bengal, Agra. It means Britishers having their provisional. It means government at the level of state. You can say province, right? So they have their government there. So each government will have power to send 1 member to the Legislative Council at the Governor General's level, so that when laws are made at the level of Governor General of India, the interest of these provinces can be taken into consideration, right? Now, it introduced a system of open competition. As I told you, attempt was made in Charter Act 1833, but it was not introduced because COD, means Court of Directors, was opposing this move. But now it was introduced. Right? It was introduced as the basis of recruitment for civil servants. So those who are preparing for civil services, you should be thankful for Charter Act 1853, or you should remember at least, because it was this act which actually started this exam for which you are preparing, right? So this was last Charter Act. Why? Because after 1853, now tell me, what happened in 1857? So in 1857, we had first struggle for India's independence. They call it mutiny. So at that point of time, now British government got alerted that now having sound administration in India is not in the hands of English East India Company. And this revolt of 1857, there were several reasons like annexation, exploitation. You read about them in modern history. Doctrine of lapse, conversion policies, westernization, introduction of new Enfield rifle. You know all about this, right? In modern history, what were the reasons of 1857 revolt? Our purpose is to look into the legal aspects, how our law was evolving. The background of constitution was getting shaped due to these events. Now after this, now Queen Proclamation was done. It means now British Empire said company rule is over. Now there's a start of crown rule in India. So Government of India Act 1858 started. Okay. So now what difference does it make? So Queen said my law, means Government of India Act 1858, would be different from EIC's rule, English East India Company's rule, because now I'm going to ensure a responsible government there. I'm going to ensure good government there, right? And the concerns of Indians, many princely states were fearful that they may be acquired. Now Queen said, wherever are the territories of Britishers in India, they cease to be there. It means no further expansion will happen. So, act of good government in India, answerable and responsive government. Now my friends, answerable and responsive government, don't misconstrue it by thinking, oh, Queen was thinking about us. She was saying, now this good government in India will be answerable and responsive to the people of India. ऐसा नहीं था. Reality was these two words, answerable and responsive, to British government, to British Parliament, हमें नहीं. Okay, because वो change अभी आएगा. That change is going to happen soon when I'm going to talk about Councils Act. लेकिन अभी तो Government of India Act 1858 की बात चल रही है. We are still talking about this. So Queen's Proclamation of 1858 started. Now, earlier you know, there's this position that Governor General of India. Since now there's a start of Crown rule from 1858, now there was another word which was adopted, that is Viceroy. Viceroy, it means representative of Crown. Okay. So apart from this, a new position was created, Secretary of State for India. Secretary of State for India. This office was supported with 15 members in its council, and this office was maintained in London. But when it comes to expenditure incurred in this office, it was going from India, right? So that was one concern among many revolutionaries or nationalists. Now, the Indian administration was under the authority of Viceroy, because Viceroy was representative of Crown. So now, Governor General was given this title of Viceroy. As I told you, now company's rule is done. So that is why Court of Director and Board of Control, both segments were abolished. Okay. So if I ask you this simple statement, means I'm making a statement and you have to tell me the statement is true or false. Okay. This is just a test to actually ensure that everything is getting concussed or not. So statement is, it was through Pitt's India Act that office of the it was through Pitt's India Act that Board of Control and Court of Directors were created, comma, but after Government of India Act 1858, both were abolished. Now tell me, the statement is true or false? I'm repeating my statement. I'm saying Board of Control and Court of Director, these two segments of administration of English East India Company in India were created through Pitt's India Act 1784, comma, but abolished after Government of India Act 1858. Tell me, what is going to be the answer? आपके मन में जो आता है आप बताइए. Because the rule of psychology, if you make mistake, and I'm going to pinpoint this is the mistake, and now you are going to be safe. Now you are not going to be trapped by UPSC. Those who are saying yes, हाँ ये तो पढ़ा हुआ है, पिट्स इंडिया बताया था सर ने, बोर्ड ऑफ कंट्रोल कोर्ट ऑफ डायरेक्टर, हाँ हाँ हाँ, क्लास ही इससे स्टार्ट की थी, अच्छा. But please give attention to each word I say. In the previous class, I also focused on this part, that Court of Director was existing already. This court of director, who was representing the interest of this private company, was existing already. Board of Control was created as a new entity through Pitt's India Act 1784. Yes, you can say the division of power, this commercial functions and political functions, this was done in Pitt's India Act. But my statement is saying Court of Director and Board of Control were created from Pitt's India Act 1784. So those who are saying this is yes, मैं आपको बताना चाहूंगा, एक तो होता है गलत, एक होता है सरासर, ये सरासर गलत है। बात पकड़ में आ रही है आपको? तो these are some, some words here and there, and that's how UPSC lay the trap. Okay? Please remember, categorization of function in Pitt's India Act happened, yes, but creation नहीं था दोनों का। Creation इसका तो पहले ही था, पहले दोनों काम देख रहा था, इससे कहा कि नहीं तुम एक काम इसको दो, ये हुआ था Pitt's India Act में। Okay? So this was done in Pitt's India Act. Now, Lord Canning, who was the viceroy at that point of time, so he took a decision. Means after this Government of India Act 1858 was enacted, now Lord Canning, he thought, we need to change some aspects in administration of crown in India, because now there is crown rule. So he said, we have to involve more Indians. Otherwise, there will be several grievances, and these grievances will lead to rupture of certain revolts. So it is better to involve more Indians and develop and evolve legislative councils. Councils means there will be several members, and these members will participate in law-making process. So that now Indians will not say that, oh, we are not going to follow this law because this law was made by Britishers. Since many Indians are going to be incorporated in this legislative council, now it can be said as a reply that, oh, we have Indians also in legislative council, right? Your own brothers and sisters are making law now. It's not just Britishers are enforcing. So by this logic, it was a first step, right, to actually involve more Indians. Now, there are three councils act, Indian Council Act 1861, 1891, and 1892 and 1909, right? Now, first step, Indian Council Act 1861. To ensure that we need to give representation to Indians, three Indians were actually appointed here. Who were they? Raja of Banaras, Maharaja of Patiala, and Sir Dinkar Rao, right? Now the point is, who was appointing them? They were non-official members, and they were getting appointed by Viceroy. Okay? Apart from this, portfolio system was introduced. Portfolio system, what does it mean? एक तो होता portfolio, photo वाला portfolio, that you are entering into some modeling or something, and then you are having portfolio, album. That's not the portfolio we're talking about. My friends, we have to connect. Okay, this particular terminology in our administration was introduced through this law, and we still have this particular mechanism in India. Means this mechanism was there in Indian Constitution also. So this is how we need to connect our understanding. Portfolio system you can equate with system of Council of Minister. It means, now in Executive Council, it is not that collectively this Executive Council is responsible for every executive work, every department work. Now, let's segregate the department work. Now, if Viceroy has to take answer from any executive council member, so there is a separate, departments allocated to this. So now it means Mr. Robert may be asked, Mr. Robert, give me the status report on agriculture, give me the status report on finance. Mr. Jackson may be asked, Mr. Jackson, since you are given the portfolio of road and railways, I want report on road and railways. We made a policy on road and railways. What happened in past 6 months? Give me the report. So now individual responsibility within this executive council was termed as portfolio system. Later, we know it in the form of Council of Ministers system, where portfolios are allocated to different ministers, and Prime Minister directly asked that concerned minister, okay, give me the report what your ministry has done. Right? So there is portfolio system and it was introduced in 1861. Decentralization initiated in the presidencies of Madras and Bombay. My friends, from 1773 to 1858, we have seen a trend of centralization of power. It means earlier there were governor of Bengal, Madras and Bombay. Then governor of Bengal was given the title of Governor General of Bengal. Then that particular position was given to was given the title of Governor General of India. So it means this is how power was actually being centralized there, right? So now this centralization trend got into reverse now. So how it get into decentralized. Okay, so now decentralized का मतलब क्या होता है? Now power is being devolved at the provincial level also. Okay, and we have seen that this decentralization which started from Council of India Act, Indian Council Act 1861. So now it went till Government of India Act 1935. Government of India 1935, which is like lot of provisions of Government of India Act 1935 are taken into Indian Constitution, and among them the important one is federal system, division of power between states and union. So this is an example of decentralization which we are going to talk about it in Government of India Act 1935, but you should also remember from where it started, because UPSC can make these kind of statements too. Okay, now just attempt this question. Indian Councils Act 1861 provided for decentralization tendency. Legislative Council for Punjab rejected the portfolio system, started associating Indians with law-making process, and these are the options. You have to attempt this question and then answer in comments. In some acts, what I have done, we are discussing all important provisions. Along with this, we know that UPSC is not going to ask directly from the statement. They may infer, they may check what you infer from the statement which you have read in Lakshmikant, right? So in that case, I would advise you to open this particular act, read it and then attempt. Answers are going to be shared in the Telegram group as well, right? And the method which you should use is elimination here, okay? Because for example, you have gained the understanding that portfolio system was introduced. So how can this be true? Reject it. So it means this is no, right? Decentralization tendency, we already know. What you don't know is that Legislative Council of Punjab, whether this was introduced or not, right? And started associating with Indians law-making process. This is also correct. I've already told you this was the whole purpose of Lord Canning. So it means 4 means 1 and 4 and 1 to 4. These two are mentioned, right? And Legislative Council for Punjab, the purpose of Indian Councils Act was not just to take into consideration the councils at the level of center. We were talking about the councils at the level of provinces also, right? Answer is 1, 2 and 4. Okay. Now, Indian Councils Act 1892. So it increased the number of additional. Purpose was to expand the involvement of Indians, non-official members in central and provincial legislative councils. Now, important is not means it. You need to identify the trick part, but maintain the official majority in them. The trick will be played here in the bold part. What does it mean? It means non-official members are being involved. It means they are not part of British, you can say British administration. They are representative of people. Okay, means they may be you can say expert in certain areas, that's why they are being involved, but they are not officials. And when it comes to decision whether this law is going to be passed, how that decision is taken in Legislative Council, this is taken on the basis of majority. My friends, if non-official members are not in majority, do you expect that they can propose some law for the betterment of Indians, and they can actually ensure that this law can be passed without support of officials? No, this can't happen. So it means, although a step was taken for having more involvement of Indians, but means Britishers were not having genuine interest to give us the power that we can actually propose the law and we have the majority, we can pass the law, and then Britishers will be there, oh, since you have passed the law, we are going to implement it. No, this was not the case there. So please remember, Indian Council Act 1892, but maintained the official majority in them, both central and provincial, right? One tricky question can also be made where UPSC can say official majority was maintained at provincial level but not at central level. Okay, these kind of you can say traps are laid. Now legislative councils were expanded, gave them functions, legislative councils such as budget and questioning the executive. Now this is important, and this is good aspect, you should say, because now at least you can ask question from the executive. And don't you think in our parliament, our legislature, questioning is the essence of democracy, right? All the members have this right. If they want to ask question from any minister, they can ask that question. They have to send the question in Lok Sabha to the speaker, and then speaker will select, categorize these question and send these question to the concerned minister, right? So questioning, power of questioning in our legislature entered through Indian Council Act 1892. Now, Indian Council Act 1909, famously known as Minto Reforms. I would say infamous. This particular act was infamous also. Infamous, why? Due to communal electorate, right? Now, direct elections to the Legislative Council, first time, the number of members of the Legislative Council was increased from 16 to 60. So when I'm saying direct election, don't consider that all the people, universal adult franchise got into it. No, ऐसा नहीं था. Limited franchise was there. Only few people were given right to vote, right? And they were the one who are participating in elections. This particular reform is famous for the separation of communal electorate. What does it mean? When you use the word electorate, what does it mean? And when I'm saying separate communal electorate, word communal means based on community. You have separate electoral features. What does it mean? For example, Minto Reforms saying Muslims are going to be given separate electorate. In a particular area where a seat is allocated as a Muslim seat, there only Muslims are going to vote, and Muslim is going to fight the, you can say, election. So this idea, although was supported by many Western, you can say, political thinkers of that time, they were saying in a society where there are minorities, and to ensure that minorities have their say in administration so that they are not suppressed, we should introduce separate electorate. But my friends, there is a huge demerit also. For example, in an area, it was not like that in our society, people were living that in a particular constituency only Muslims are going to live and other constituency Hindus are going to live. We were a diverse society interweaving with each other, right? So at that point of time, in a particular neighborhood, if Muslims are the one who are allowed to vote and Hindus can't vote, other religions can't vote. Now don't you think this particular process of electorate will actually have huge negative implications? Number one, division of the people, right? People would say that we don't have voting power. And second is that representative will only come at the door of people who are going to vote, who are going to ensure his success, his candidature to actually get appointed after election. So the point is that this will actually be a negative connotation. राइट वो पूछेगा ही क्यों दूसरे को, वो केवल उसको पूछेगा जो उसको वोट दे सकता है, उसी के डोर पे वो जाएगा कि बस आपका ही वोट है, इनको तो छोड़ो. Those people, if they will come that we have these local issues, then that person would say ठीक है आप बाद में आना. But those who are the actual voters, that person will give premise to them. right? So this is the fault of the system, right? It is said that Britishers introduced this to divide Indian society on communal lines. For the first time, Indian was made as the member of Executive Council of Viceroy, and the name was Satyendra Prasad Sinha as law member. Now, just check out this question. Consider the following statements. Minto Reforms. Provincial Legislative Councils came to have non-official majority. The discussion on budget, including supplementary question, was introduced. For the first time, Muslims were given separate electorate. Minto Reforms. So you have to attempt that question. Okay. Now, Government of India Act 1919. Montagu-Chelmsford reform. Okay. And when I am saying Morley Minto or Montagu-Chelmsford, it means Minto is Viceroy and Morley is Secretary of State. Okay. Chelmsford is Viceroy and Montagu is Secretary of State for India. Now, 1919, important law, can easily remembered on the basis of division of power and how power was divided. Take a look. Legislature list got divided into two parts, central subject and provincial subject. It means earlier this council of this Governor General's Council, after that we had this Central Legislative Council, it was having power to make law on every subject, and on some subject there was huge overlap with provincial Legislative Council. So their need arose that why not we divide our spheres. It means if certain laws can be made by provincial legislature because they have better know-how of the ground situation, then these powers should be given to provincial legislature. If certain laws need uniformity across different provinces, then these subjects, to make law on these subjects, this power should be given to central legislature, right? So that's how this categorization was done, central subject and provincial subject. Okay. And you also know that in our Indian Constitution, Schedule 7, we have union list, state list, and we have also concurrent list. So union list simply means the matters on which only union legislature can make law, parliament can make law. State list, matter on which state legislature is going to make law, right? So this idea of categorization of subjects between union and state, it emerged where? 1919. You can use your pictographic memory. It means understanding one thing is, one way, right? And another is associate with some picture. Okay, 1919. Oh, there was division happening, right? So in this way, you can actually remember this. Apart from this, when it comes to provincial subjects, they were further divided into two. One was reserves list and other was transferred list. Reserve list means now only Governor General of that province, along with the concerned members of council, they are going to take this decision. For this taking decision on these reserve list subject, they are not bound, answerable to the council. But when it comes to transferred list, with regard to these topics, which are these subjects which are mentioned in this transferred list, they have to take into consideration the process of council. It means important subjects were taken in reserve list, so that the members, the Indian community members in this provincial legislative council, so that they cannot question this because they don't have any say over this. But when it comes to some, you can say, some too simple kind of subjects, right? Basic things, they were given into transferred. Okay, on these things you can debate, you can bring law, you can bring bill, and then we are going to discuss, and then we are going to make law, right? So important things were kept in reserved list. So this division of subjects is called as diarchy. Dy means, Di means say two, archy means rule. Diarchy means rule in two ways. Two ways why? Because legal subjects, the subjects on which law can be made is divided into two parts. Okay, please remember, diarchy means the subjects on which laws are going to be made. These are divided into two parts. One, reserved, means Britishers, their governor at the level of province, along with the council members, they are not accountable to this legislative council. Reserved, and here they are, right? So this division is known as diarchy. Although there was a lot of, you can say, opposition to this very idea, right? Because you have given certain subjects and transferred, but even if we want to raise some points, we want to contribute in law making process on the subjects which are more important, and you have put in reserve list, then this is like a mockery, right? Apart from this, Government of India Act 1919 also introduced bicameral legislature. Bicameral means, now please remember, यहाँ पर अभी तक हम जो बात कर रहे थे वो डिवीजन की बात कर रहे थे. We were talking about division, but we were talking about division of subjects, means areas on which laws are made. अभी केवल उसके डिवीजन की बात की. We were just talking about those divisions, right? Now we are talking about house, like we have Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, two separate houses. So bicameral legislature, legislative council and legislative assembly word were used at that point of time. In current scenario, you can equate with Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Okay. So majority directly elected, majority in both. Now establishment of Central Public Service Commission. This is important for you, right? It was this 1919 Act through which Central Public Service Commission was established. Now you have UPSC, Union Public Service Commission, right? Limited franchise was there. It means everyone was not having right to vote. Voting rights were given on the basis of property, tax and education. The tax you pay, the property you have, the education you have. Only around 10% Indians were having this right to vote at that point of time. Okay. Another important part, Viceroy's Executive Council. There were 6 members here. Out of these 6 members, 3 members, apart from Commander-in-Chief, need to be Indians. So this was an important development here. Means 6 members in Viceroy's Council, right? Viceroy's Executive Council. Out of these 6, Viceroy's Executive Council ही बोलेंगे हम. Because Legislative Council is separated already, ना? We already have Central Legislative Council, Provincial Legislative Council. Legislature वाला part तो दे दिया उनको, अलग है, वो तो body है. जैसे हमने यहाँ पर Legislature की बात कर रहे हैं. अब Viceroy, Governor General of India, Viceroy, he is already having Executive Council. 6 members, 3 members need to be Indians, right? Now a Simon Commission was made to review the implementation of this 1919 Act. Now huge, you can say, opposition was done against the Simon Commission because many Indian leaders were having, serious reservations with 1919 Act, saying this is a mockery. You already have made reserve subject, important subjects are with you, diarchy you have introduced, right? And true representation, true involvement of Indian has not been realized until now. It was a promise given way back, right? Lord Canning idea, then Council, 3 Councils Act. So now Simon Commission was made to review this. Now the point of contention was, no Indian was part of the Simon Commission. In modern history, you must have read about Simon Commission and Simon go back, right? Lala Lajpat Rai lost his life, right? Now 7-member commission, no Indians were there. Objective to inquire about the working of 1919 Act. This objective need to be, you should remember, a statement kind of question has been asked already by UPSC, I think 2015. Now recommendations. What were the recommendations of Simon Commission? 1. Abolition of diarchy. I've already told you, serious reservations were against this concept of diarchy. क्या मजाक चल रहा है, रिजर्व सब्जेक्ट, ट्रांसफर सब्जेक्ट. तो साइमन कमीशन ने कहा हटा दो इसको, डायरकी को, right? Otherwise problems will continue. Extension of responsible government in provinces. Continuation of communal representation. Communal representation continue करो, separate electorate. Establishment of Federation of British India and Princely States. Federation of British India and Princely State. Princely State will be member of this federation. So now Indians objected to this Simon Commission, right? And there was, Simon go back was going on, though these recommendations were incorporated in Government of India Act 1935. They were incorporated. This is also important. Okay, many people miss on this particular statement, and this particular statement is used. Please remember it. Now, after this, 3 roundtable conferences happened in London, where Britishers invited important leaders from all sections of Indian society so that they can listen to them, their grievances, their suggestions, and check out the future plan of administering British India. So, Gandhiji went only in second conference, and Sarojini Naidu and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar went into all 3 conferences. Representative of British government, representative of India, and representative of princely state, all 3 segments were present there. As an outcome, MacDonald Award, Ramsay MacDonald, the British Prime Minister at that point of time, was declared Ramsay MacDonald Award. It means now separate electorate, which were earlier there for Muslims, but now Ramsay MacDonald was saying on the ideas of Dr. B. Ambedkar that separate electorate need to be introduced for depressed sections also. And after this, that many Indian leaders, primarily Mahatma Gandhiji, considered it as an attempt to divide Indian society further by Britishers, and specifically Hindu society, so that they can weaken the, our national movement. So, on 26 January 1930, we had this demand of Purna Swaraj, and then at that 1932 we had this Ramsay MacDonald Award, जिसके बारे में भी आपको बताया, extending separate electorate scheduled classes. Now, what Mahatma Gandhi did? Mahatma Gandhi sat on fast unto death in Yerwada jail, right? Yerwada jail, Pune. And then there was huge pressure on Dr. B.R. Ambedkar that you have to save life of Mahatma Gandhiji, because condition of Mahatma Gandhiji was that this demand of separate electorate for a depressed section should be removed. So, under the public pressure, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar went to Yerwada jail. They had a discussion with Mahatma Gandhi, and finally, they both arrived at a conclusion that we are going to find a middle way, and middle way is going to be reservation for depressed classes in subsequent provincial legislative elections, provincial legislative council elections. So this was signed, and separate, reservation is, different from separate electorate, because in separate electorate, it means if a particular seat, constituency is declared as depressed section, for depressed section, now only those categorized as depressed section can vote, and only candidate can be from depressed section. But when you say reservation, it means this particular seat is reserved for depressed section. It means candidate can be from depressed section, but when it comes to voters will be all eligible voters who are residing in that particular territory. Okay, so this was considered as a better way. At that point of time in 1934, M.N. Roy, demand for Constitution in India by Indians, this was raised. Please remember M.N. Roy. Now, there's a question for you. Simon Commission, which was appointed in 1927, submitted. So just take a look over this question, okay, and post your answer in comments. This PDF will be available in the Telegram group. I'm going to show the Telegram address in the last, okay. So no need to worry. Now, Government of India Act 1935. This particular act has a lot of provisions. We have a lot of provisions from this act in our constitution, because why we have it incorporated? Because already administrative structure was developed. So our constitution framers thought, why we should actually dismantle a structure which has already been made? Why should we do a trial and error if we can improvise on a structure which has already been made by Britishers? So All India Federation was proposed, which would consist of British India, princely states, and categorized through subjects, central, provincial, as well as concurrent. And this is exactly the 3 lists. These are exactly the 3 lists which we have in our Constitution 7th schedule, right? So center subject means federal list, means on federal list means as of now we use union list. Center can make law. Provincial list, it means state list, only state can make law. And when I say concurrent list, concurrent means both can make law. But when it comes to, if those two laws which are made on a matter in concurrent list come into conflict, then whose law will prevail? Centre's law will prevail. This is a common, you can say, idea. But my friends, in previous judgments, Supreme Court has arrived on a doctrine where harmonization is done whenever a central and state law came into conflict, some provisions came into conflict. Then there's interpretation of that law so that harmonization can be done, right? Harmonized reconstruction. Khair, today we are talking about historical background of Indian Constitution. We are going to focus exactly on that, okay? Now, diarchy was abolished at provincial level and introduced at the level of center. Now, if a UPSC is making a statement, as per Government of India Act 1935, diarchy was abolished at provincial level and it got enacted in Indian administration. It got enacted in British administration at the level of center. Do you think that statement would be true? What do you think? True or false? True or false? Come on. Some of you might say, sir, इतना बुद्धू समझा है क्या? लिखा तो है, introduced. आपने enacted बोल दिया, एक ही तो बात है. My friends, answer is false. Because it was introduced in the law. It was introduced in the law, means in the law. Government of India Act 1935 has this provision कि हाँ, there should be a diarchy at the level of center. But it never got enacted due to a lot of repulsion against the idea of diarchy at provincial level also in the past. Okay, so these are some intricacies on which UPSC lay the trap. Now, more autonomy was accorded to the provinces. 6 out of 11 provinces bicameral legislature was introduced. So, if I ask, bicameral legislature as a concept was introduced by which law? Come on, हमने अभी बात की है 1919, right? Now, here we are extending it to provinces, right? Different provinces. A federal court was established, Indian Council was established, abolished, extension of communal representation to SCs, women and laborers. Yes. We are talking about 1935. Pune Pact has already been done, but Britishers were not got deterred from Pune Pact. उन्होंने कहा ठीक है, गांधी जी एंड अम्बेडकर ने आपस में पैक्ट किया जिससे कि नाउ अम्बेडकर वुड बी सेटिस्फाइड एट द लेवल फॉर रिजर्वेशन. बट ब्रिटिशर्स ने फिर भी गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया एक्ट 1935 में सेपरेट कम्युनल रिप्रेजेंटेशन की बात की, राइट? नाउ एक्ट प्रोवाइडेड फॉर एस्टेब्लिशमेंट ऑफ RBI. It was this act through which RBI got established, right? Reserve Bank of India. There is a separate law for Reserve Bank of India also, right? RBI Act 1934. And so RBI Act 1934 came earlier, and how RBI is going to position or interlinked with the administration, these provisions were mentioned in Government of India Act 1935, right? And RBI got established in 1935. This act continued with its placed in new Indian Constitution, as I told you, and at that point of time, around 10% people were having power to vote. Now, this is an MCQ for you on this. Take a screenshot and attempt. Now came the August offer. Now Britishers were in trouble. In 1935, World War II got started. Hitler was in position to attack Britain. And at that point of time, Britishers wanted support of Indians, right? So now Britishers were saying that again, in exchange of support of Indians, full-fledged support of Indians, we are going to give dominion status. Do you think at this stage, Indian nationalist leaders would agree on dominion status? No, right? So this is what exactly happened. So you read about it in modern history, right? Later, Congress put forth his own demand, कि ठीक है, we are going to support you, but this is what we need as World War II ends. Now, this dominion status demand was rejected by Indians. Then we had the Scripps Mission, 1942. Dominion status to India, protection of minorities, setting up Constituent Assembly with representatives from princely states, British provinces, provisions of British provinces to have their own constitution they want. So these kind of ideas actually were proposed in Scripps Mission. and it was a big fail. We are talking about 1942. तब तक तो महात्मा गांधी जी ने भी बोल दिया था do or die, right? Quit India movement. So again, a question for you. Now, India Independence Act, where we had a tryst with the destiny of India, as our first Prime Minister, Mr. Jawaharlal Nehru, says in Discovery of India's book. So it declared India as independent and sovereign state. From legal standpoint, you should know that after this India Independence Act, now Constituent Assembly, which was already made, was given the status that, okay, this Constituent Assembly will be responsible for making constitution as well as work as Parliament of India. That's why, my friends, when the same Constituent Assembly was sitting for discussing the Constitution, it was presided by Dr. Rajendra Prasad as the President of Constituent Assembly. But when same Constituent Assembly was working as Parliament, at that point of time, Mr. G.V. Mavlankar was heading it. Now, the keeping facts aside, partition of India happened. There was creation of Pakistan. This position of Secretary of State for India got abolished, and this title Viceroy, this was also removed, because Viceroy means representative of Crown. And why would we have representative of Crown if we are going to get independence after this act? So it abolished the office of Viceroy and provided for a Governor General who was to be appointed by the British King for the dominion of cabinet, because अभी एक stop gap solution चल रहा था. Now it empowered the constituent assemblies. अभी मैंने आपको बताया, India and Pakistan, they were given this sovereignty to decide the constitution of India as well as constitution of Pakistan. Now, governance of each dominion was to conducted based on Government of India Act 1935, as I told you, right? British monarch could no longer ask for bills, right? Ki, okay, you have to give me the bill and then I'm going to turn into act. No, we are not going to. The crown rule ends here. Ab wo time gaya, right? Now, Governor General of the dominions were made to act and aid or the advice of the council. And then we had our last Governor General, Mr. Mountbatten, right? At the stroke of midnight, British rule came to end in India. Lord Mountbatten became the first Governor General of the new Dominion of India, because as Lord Mountbatten gave this charge of Governor General of India to C. Rajagopalachari, then this was final, you can say, exit of Britishers. The Constituent Assembly of India formed in 1946 and became the Parliament of Indian Dominion. And after the enactment of Constitution, we were sovereign, socialist word came later, secular, democratic republic, right? Khair, Constituent Assembly per discussion and the addition of the words, we are going to talk in the next lectures, upcoming sessions. See you then. Till then, keep learning, keep growing. Shashank Tyagi signing off. The PDFs will be available in this Telegram group, Shashank Tyagi for you. You can also connect with me on Instagram or Twitter to ask any doubt. I'll be there for you.